A very warm welcome to all of you. This masterclass and the exhibition connected to it is part of Dakshinachitra's sort of extended textile handloom day celebrations. And we're very delighted to have all of you here. I will give a short introduction to the speaker, Gayathri KK. Gayathri is a full-time IT professional and an independent textile researcher with a special interest in the lesser-known textiles of Tamil Nadu. Her work involves the study of historical and archival material and collaborating with artisans across India to thoughtfully recreate these textiles in small, limited batches. So, as you will see from the presentation to come, Gayathri's work there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but there's also a lot of rigor and a certain kind of being precise about the revival process. So, over to you, Gayathri, now.
Thank you, Anita ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Special thank you to my person, Maragadamani and Meenakshi for making it here, and thank you for everyone. I'm Gayathri. I'm an independent textile researcher and a full-time IT professional. My work into textile, started unexpectedly as a reseller. So I was doing reselling for a while, and just to kill a spare time during my commute to office. And one thing led to another, and I was suddenly reading about Indian textile history. Soon my focus was on into, textiles of Tamil Nadu. And it was then I came to know we had an incredible amount of weaves and techniques, some lost, some, not known to the general public. So during one of my visits to my hometown, I thought, okay, why not do something about it? And that's when I met Mr. Selvaraj. He's a master weaver who's no more now, touchwood. Bless him, sir. So he won national award for weaving a fabric called Kutni. I just know we have, Kanjivaram fabric, Arani fabric. I don't know what Kutni was. So when I went to my hometown and I had a visit, we had a conversation, he was still weaving this fabric in very small batches that was used for home furnishings and shirts. So post this conversation, something, kind of stuck with me, and I thought, why not bring one weave, one pattern at a time? And that's how my work with recreating museum textiles started. And my first project was Thanjavur Ikat. The original was archived in Victoria and Albert Museum archives, and it was also referenced in Forbes Watson's catalog. So I thought, why not start with it? And from then on, we've started recreating textiles from almost a lot of museums, including Philadelphia and Dakshinachitra. We have 2 saris recreated from the Dakshinachitra archives. And there are almost 20 plus designs that we've recreated from museums. And in parallel with weaving, I also wanted to explore the painted and the printed section that was done in Tamil Nadu. And that's how I came to know about Sikkalnaikam paintings. So the artist earlier used to work only on a cotton base, and there are only 2 families who right now work on it. One family specifically works on cotton, and the other family, after a little nudge, they kind of started working in silk fabrics, and we do exclusively hand-painted stuff using Sikkalnaikam technique. And the third being the printed and the embellishments part. So for embellishments, it was really interesting to see beetle wing embroidery being documented in a lot of museum archives. And while reading gazettes, I came to know in Thandayapet, in Hobart School of Arts, there were women who were practicing this art, and this art form was being exported for the European market and the Indian market. So I wanted to recreate small batches of it. I didn't want to mass produce it at that time. So we make very small batches of beetle wing embroidery as well. And that's how my journey into textiles came, and it's been 5+ years, and it's been fabulous. And I'm so happy to have a lot of people here who are interested in, in having a walkthrough in my textile journey. So with no further ado, let's just get started. I just wanted to put an emphasis on the textiles because they're not just functional objects. There are a lot of hands and there are a lot of emotions behind it. Every particular textile carries a story to it. For instance, here in Weaver's house, you have Mr. Kesavan, who still weaves silk saris, but he doesn't use this mechanism called jacquard. If you go and sit with him, he'll tell you he feels very bad to put a pedal, to put his leg on a loom and then weave. He kind of feels this to be, a disrespect to the loom. So he feels whatever the pattern, he can bring it through hand, he's happy to do it. So every textile that you have or, that was made earlier had a story to it. And each motif, the way it was made. For instance, in a textile, you have something called warp and weft. So warp is something that goes like this and weft kind of goes vertically. So in a weft, you have your thread wound up in a plastic needle these days. But think about it. Plastic came in recently. But before plastic, what was there? And how long was the silk being able to wound, how long was the silk wound on it? So there was something called nanal or reed that grows in the riverbeds. So these weavers used to harvest it and they cut it into small pieces and they wind silk threads to it. In that, if it was done in that way, they were able to keep it nice for almost 1 week. But now with these plastics, they should weave it probably around like in 1 or 2 days, or else the silk threads kind of break. So every pattern, another instance, mushru. Mushru is a cloth which has satin in the top, silk base, and it has a cotton in the back. The reason why mushru came into existence is because a lot of Muhammadiyans or Muslim people, as per their religious customs, it was haram when the silk touches its body. But they wanted a medium to explore and experiment with fabrics, and that's how mushru came in. And in local terms, it is still called as kutni here. You can still find this term being used in the Middle East. My guess is it came from the Middle East to Gujarat. The Saurashtrians carried it through the migration, and that's how you still find the term kutni here. So there are a lot of patterns and lot of names associated with it. For instance, you have something called Susi. Susi means striped fabric. And the striped fabric was once famous in Sindh. It's still called Susi over there. So it's like, it's not just an object. You have a lot of memory associated with it. And what you're going to gain from this session is you're going to look into 3 lesser-known textiles that was once practiced in Tamil Nadu. And you're going to know how this revival is possible if you are able to collaborate with an artisan, give him his space, and get things done. And you can also see these textiles in the Kadambari Gallery post this exhibition. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to, walk you through. Any questions so far? We'll go to the next one. Cool. So we'll be looking into 1 woven textile, 1 printed textile, and 1 painted textile. In woven textile, we'll be looking into a textile called Thanjavur Ikat, and in painted, what I used to call is Thannir Eluthu. The reason why it is called Thannir Eluthu is because it is a writing using water or writing with water. That is the local term. Kalamkari is a Persian term. The local term for it is called as Thannir Eluthu. And we'll be specifically looking into a pattern called Matahari. And in printed, we'll be looking into a pattern that was done in Kumbakonam somewhere in the late 1800s, block printed using natural dyes. And that's it. So let's get started. So Thanjavur Ikat, why did I choose Thanjavur Ikat? A lot of people know when it comes to Ikat, it's only Andhra. It's Telangana, Pochampalli, and probably these days you can find a few Chinnalapatti saris that have ikats in them. But the Chinnalapatti ikats, a lot of them use weft ikat, they don't use warp ikat. So warp ikat was quite rare to find in Tamil Nadu's textiles, and this one was particularly associated with temple ceremonies, rituals, and weddings. And this piece was also a part of traveling museum in Forbes Watson's catalog, and it kind of inspired me, why not do this? So that's how it started. And here's a close-up of the textile. I kind of want to be a Q&A session, so I would like our answers from people who feel, how many elements do you find in this border of the sari? Anyone, please. What are the elements that you find in this particular border of the sari? Let's forget the body. You can see the body has checks to it, and you kind of see a small pallu. But how many elements are there in the body? I mean, the border, sorry. Anyone wants to take a wild guess? Come on, guys. Shouldn't be like I'm the one who's just speaking and you guys are here to listen. We'll have a kind of interaction over there. Come on, just tell us a number. 8 or 10. How do you split it to be 8 or 10? Okay, on a first note, you can probably tell, there's a yellow diamond pattern to it, you see some lines to it, and you have 3 ikat patterns to it. But there's more to it. You want to explore? Yes, in between the ikat pattern, there's 2 lines. So if you add it, you'll probably get another 15 or 16. But look at the close-up pattern for the particular border. So I'll go to the previous slide. I'll show you. You can see a diamond pattern on the border, but I'm just zooming it up to have a look at it, closely. So how many elements do you see now? Earlier it was 12. How much do you see now? Probably 15. But look at the second slide from there. And now you see a small line in between the yellow, which is either black or green. So this particular border has 20 elements to it. So attention to detail is a very important thing if you're going to recreate something. So when you look at the first image, you will not be able to see the small line that is in between the yellow line. But when you zoom it and see, you can see it is there. That's how much the attention to detail was there in our earlier weaves. So I sat down, I wrote every single line on a piece of paper, and I attributed it to be 20 elements. So once this comes, you have the ikat part. So the ikat, you can see it is made up of 2 colors over here. You have yellow, red, and white. So you have to dye these border into 2 times to get the exact shade. So the original sari had ikat on the bottom borders and also the top side borders. But in order to make it, right for the general public these days, a lot of people you see, they'll be wearing a single pleat or they kind of pin it. So I see no point in, having this border in the top side. So we kind of altered it. And we chose to have only the bottom ikat. And here is your pallu part. The original was almost like 12 inches, at max 15 inches. And we thought this arrow pattern to be actually weft ikat. But when we zoom in and saw, we thought, okay, no, you will not get these zigzag lines using weft ikat. It is all very finely woven. So we kind of, zoomed in, we saw, okay, this has a checkered pattern in between. You also see a plus symbol in the pallu. So we kind of wrote everything. And we sat with the weaver and I told him, we want to get this done. Now you help me how to go with it. I wasn't sure what the pre-loom process was then. I simply went with him. I went with all the details. I told him, I want to get this done. I know you're capable. Why not try and do it? And it was during COVID. And fortunately, the weaver was very willing to help me with it. And we started working on it. And I had no textile background earlier. I'm an engineering plus MBA graduate. So I sat with him. I told him, okay, you tell me, what are you going to do? So, and then he started explaining me the pre-loom process. So he told me a sari comes as a length of 5 or 8. You choose how many saris you want. So once you choose the saris, we have to dye them. And before that, we have to degum them. Because what you get is raw silk. Once you get the raw silk, you have to degum them, you have to dye them. Once it's dye, you have to dry them. And once it's dry, you have to do something called street sizing. And once it's street sizing is done, you will be doing warping. And once warping is done, you will be rolling it to a beam. And from the beam, it comes to your loom. This is just for the warp. For the weft, you will again do a separate sizing process. You have something called, a ratai, where you kind of wind the weft to your plastic thing. So this is how your warp and weft comes to life. And once this comes to the loom, you have to first do something called pitni. How many of you know what pitni is? Yes, ma'am. Yes, but before starting of a new sari, you have to do pitni again. So pitni now divides into two. One, to attach your pallu to the body of the sari, and the other, where you initially, when you start from scratch, they do something called pitni. And once this pitni is done, they pull these threads through the reeds and heels, and then it comes to the weaver. And this 5,200 yarns is, every single yarn, is attached to the loom with the help of two people. One person will be helping and taking the yarn. The other person will be either having an ash smeared with the hands, or they plain hands, and they kind of simply attach it to the looms. So that's how your warp comes in. And for the pallu, we wanted to make sure, let's just go back to the old technique. There's something called adai. So a lot of people, a lot of weaving these days happen through jacquard looms. So what is jacquard? You have a box that is attached to the loom, and you have punch cards that kind of give you the pattern to it. So once you punch those patterns and attach it to the jacquard on the loom, you hit your pedal and the design falls on the loom. And to make sure the design falls on the loom, there will be some person sitting upstairs just to check if the pattern falls on the loom, because not every first time you get these things right. So somebody has to do a quality check and see these patterns fall into the right way and the right size. It matters. So we wanted to go with the adai technique of weaving. I didn't know what adai was, and I sat down with him again to understand what adai was. I have a very short clipping to show you how adai weaving is done. You basically have a small ladder that is attached to the loom. There is no punch cards, just threads from here and there. You have a plank in between. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Can you please use the mic?
Hi. Sorry. So are these woven at Thanjavur?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in Thanjavur, they used to do the adai technique, is it?
Yes, ma'am. Everywhere in Tamil Nadu, a lot of weavers still practice adai technique. It's just not known to the general public. So we sat with him, and you can see his Selvaraj weaving the sari. He's just setting up the adai for the pallu. So you have a ladder, and you have two planks. So one person will be lifting up the plank, and you can see one plank down. So the person on the left with the specs is our master weaver, Mr. Selvaraj, and the person who's weaving is Mr. Radha. So you leave it here, you turn the plank, and then you adjust two other planks on the ladder over there, just to make one pixel right. Imagine you have to do this for the whole pallu. So this is how we did our adai weaving, and here's our final result. We kind of made an elaborate pattern on the pallu. The original was 15 to 20 inches, but we wanted at least, half a meter. So we kind of expanded the design, and we came up with this final version of what you call Thanjavur Ikat. So this part concludes the woven textile. Any questions so far? Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. The checks are all, attached separately. So this particular pattern is called Muttukattam. When you see closely, I'll just show it over here. You can see the dotted lines over here, but here it is kind of straight. So this was the first sari that we made. So this was the first sari we made. It kind of missed this detail, but once we, had a QC myself, I came to know that, okay, this is not the right checks. Muthukattam is basically dotted pearl lines. So this dotted pearl lines has to come both on the warp and the weft. So we had to alter the loom again, and our second and third set of batches had the right checks. So it's not like you get everything right the first time. It takes a lot of effort, trial and error to get things done. So this is our first sari from the loom. Questions? Can we move on to the next section? Okay. So for painted textile, I chose this pattern called Matahari. A lot of people know the term Kalamkari, but Thannir Eluthu was quite new to me, and I saw a lot of figures and animals and tree of life patterns being done on Coromandel Coast. But this pattern was very interesting. It just had a large sunburst motif along with small patterns across it. So we thought, why not try it? It kind of looks very easy, right? So we thought, okay, it looks easy, why not try it? So that's how we started. And what you see here is an image from a private collection. We were lucky enough to have a close-up shot of it on Instagram. And the reason why I chose this is because the pattern also, a lot of people know Matahari to be a spy, but not a lot of people know this meant, as the sun or the eye of the dawn. So it was all very interesting to know these details. And the small patterns surrounding the sun were also kind of inspiration to me. So I thought, okay, why not try it? And we were lucky enough to have a close-up shot of it on Instagram. And only then we came to know this particular textile doesn't have a black outline. Kalamkari these days, when they draw, you have a kadika, the local term for it. So you have a black line to it. And once the outline is done, you put the mordant and then you dye the colors. So, okay, that was our first stop. So what do we do now? You don't have a black outline. So we sat and then we thought, okay, why not try, instead of black, why not try red? So we outlined the pattern in red, and we saw these small patterns near the sunburst. It comprised of 6 elements, and one kind of looked like a bindi to me. So one bindi combined with another 5 elements, and I wanted to make sure this particular pattern was also there in the textile. So when we started working on it, we wanted to put this on the pallu of the sari, but we were not sure what to do with the body of the sari. We wanted something to kind of complement it and not overdo it. And I'm a very big fan of creepers, so we thought, why not try having creepers to it? So we had very small creepers along with butterflies added to it, and you can see the close-up motif that we've done to the Matahari over here. So this is the original. We sat and we drew the original, and we thought, okay, so since you can see this motif comes inside the sunburst also, so you have to make sure whenever you draw, it should not touch these corners, because once it touches these corners, it will smudge. You have to be very, very careful when you do this particular pattern. So, and we wanted this pattern inside as well. So when you see the recreated version, you can still see those patterns inside the sun. So that's how Matahari came into existence. Moving to our third, printed cloth from Kumbakonam. How many people here know printing was done in Kumbakonam? And what was the local term for it? It was called Merigezhuthu, writing using wax. Now it is famously called as batik. But there was a street specifically in Kumbakonam that was very famous for block printing and exporting it to Indonesia and other regions. And they also had a place called Writer's Pond. Writer's Pond is where these people basically take the cloths for washing. And the pen that they use for drawing is called as Irumbu Thurigai. Thurigai means brush, and Irumbu Thurigai is something that you use to do batik patterns. So in Tamil it is called as Merigezhuthu. So this pattern, we found it in National Museum Archives, Delhi, and also in Victoria and Albert Museum Archives. In Victoria and Albert Museum Archives, if you see, this is actually the base pattern. In V&A Archives, you will have the white dyed to be blue. So in natural dyeing, what happens is, the first one, red, if you print it, the modern printing method is done using hot way. And the indigo dyeing is done using the cold way. So we are not sure, we are still experimenting this fabric. We just started with modern print, but the pattern that we saw in V&A Archives has both indigo and red to it, and a lot of creepers associated with it. So to start, why not try modern printing? So we took this particular pattern. As usual, we draw the trace. We found an artist who does the block printing. Unfortunately, none in Tamil Nadu were, willing to do the block, so we had to get it done in Madhya Pradesh. We got the block done, and it came. It went to a printer in Dindukal, and he kind of experimented on it. So when a new block comes, what you'll have to do is you have to make sure the print kind of sets on the fabric. But what you see here is, you don't see the print. The block was done, but the print is not there. So this was a first failure in printing, and we didn't know what to do. So we kind of started experimenting with, why not try, reducing the mordant percentage. So initially we thought, let's kind of, make the paste to be thicker. We print it on the fabric, so that the print kind of sets to the cloth. But it didn't work out. We made it thinner, still didn't work out. And now we had to alter our, the base printing unit, and then make sure we got the right pattern done. So it took us 3 days just to get the base alum print done on the fabric, and we used Sevarali Kodi powder to get this red dye. What you see here is a slight base. So this was done like 2 weeks before. So you can see a slight red pink base to it. But if you dry it in the sun, you will not see those light pink shades. So dry it in the sun for 2 to 3 days. You will get probably what you call a half bleached fabric. And now we'll be experimenting indigo with it. So that's it about my thing. And I feel every loom, every brush, and every block, it carries a memory, and we just have to make sure, these memories are not silenced. And if not me, then who? So that's how my journey started. So I put the same question to you. If not you, who? Any questions? Thank you.
Have you recreated of the designs from the museum, and how many are there in the museum?
Ma'am, the museum has almost 200 plus textiles archived, ma'am. You can choose the region, you can choose which trust the fabric was brought from, and you can simply go deep dive and find all the details in it. I have recreated almost 20 plus textiles till date, and everything has a story to it. Though I wasn't able to display a lot here owing to the space. I do feel when you walk into the Kadambari gallery, you will have a lot of questions when it comes to other textiles that we have recreated. I'm happy to answer it.
So thank you very much, Gayathri, for giving us these 3 examples. So thank you all for coming, and Gayathri will now take you to the Kadambari gallery. Thank you.
They're not here? Okay, so you attach these border and the body separately using a shuttle. So for this border you have a separate shuttle, for this body you have a shuttle, and for this border we made this dual color. Since it has 2 color borders, we thought we'll make 2 color colors. You see the maroon one here, the mustard kind of comes to the back somewhere here. You can see them here. So you can drape it here.